Our sponsor tonight is Carvinans, a family tradition in home furnishings. Carvinans, Carvinans. All right, welcome to another edition of the Smash Dell Fantasy Football Show. What we're doing here is we are going to be going through the post-draft analysis, previews, and news. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually go through and deep dive into the first rounders, some of the top tier, the elites, so to speak. There's a few um, very loaded with talent this draft. So you're going to find you know high end value in round one. You're going to find some high value in round two, and then you're going to be throwing darts probably in round three and four. So um, that's kind of been the conversation or the discussion in involving um, shortening the draft from 4 rounds, which uh, is a little absurd in Dynasty when you've been established for a few years now. And nobody's going to be putting 4 new players on their squads each year, or you know, they're probably not that good of a manager. So I think I would probably lobby for and may put out there for the league to see, but going 3 rounds instead of 4. Um, you get in a typical draft, you might have 36, maybe, or 30, say 30 draftable players. So figure, 2.5 rounds, something like that, with players, good quality, high talent. And so this year is very loaded with talent on the high end. And there's a pretty big drop off once you get past, like the top three. But still some very good talent in normal years that probably would be higher if not for these top two or three um, right now. But staunch value if you have a first round selection. If you don't, you're going to probably be able to pick up some value in, I'd say, the middle of the second round, the latter part of the second round. Um, might not be a blue chipper, but probably pretty good talent. And then in the third round, early third round, you're going to get into some talent that may be able to stash on your bench, but you would have to have a couple, 3 slots to fill if you're keeping guys, that you're getting in the third round. But, you know, that can be the case too. So, for example, many years that's the case. So we're going to go ahead and take a look and see here. But again, going to 3 rounds is probably not a bad idea, given the fact that on a very good year, probably 40 players are draftable. Okay, like 2020. Not going to be 40 draftable players this year, um, but there will be, probably 30. So that brings you into middle of the third round. So by the end of the third round, um, not a high chance that those rookies are going to end up on a roster in our league. uh, into the fourth round. So after that, it's pretty low on talent. We would have to increase our rosters by probably uh, 3 players. Let's say you could have a 3-player taxi squad. And now people are saying, well, wait a minute. Before it was 24 players with a 5-man taxi squad. So it was 29. And then we just said, abolish the taxi squad. We have 29 players active roster. So we went that way. There was Pitchfork Nation out there. They wanted it. They demanded it. And so now you're saying, well, now you want to add a taxi squad and you have 29 players. I'm saying it's not out of the question. Um, in some form or fashion, um, that may be configured in that sort of way. We tend to do things that are progressive and not politics wise, of course, but as far as how we structure the league, um, the foundation, the principles, all of that, the culture, the stability, and all that go along with it, of course. But you have to give input though if you want to have a voice. So if the bourgeois get upset with something, they can bring it to the council to be heard, to see if they can sit among the council and be heard with their idea or objection or whatever. And hey, the league's open for discussion. Open door policy is what we run here. So I think it's running actually pretty well. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and have the auction draft on the 13th of May, uh, followed by um, the extended online draft beginning at noon Friday. Okay. So essentially, it's the day before the Minnesota fishing opener is when you'll be picking. So undoubtedly, there will be some who will say he's out fishing and he can't be contacted. And so he can't pick. And I'm in the cities fishing or something. And so you got 2 days to wait and stuff like that. Well, sometimes stuff happens. I mean, you know, there are situations we seem to get through it, but it sounds like the word coming out of the coming down from the league office is that there have been some franchises out there, some rumblings of almost saber rattling, if you will, uh, latent saber rattling. Look that up. Latent saber rattling. I just made that up, but what it is it's kind of this sable rattling in the background, latent, unseen, but yet it's there. About the valuation of some of these players coming out, I fear that it will be well out of hand and way out of the realm of logic. Perhaps I will give my input on that after the auction is over, and again we'll go through and do a winners and losers of that draft, of our draft, and kind of figure out how that works. But there's always these guys that show up, the James Robinsons. It's like, and don't, oh God, and that's another sad story. I mean, seriously, you're a James Robinson owner, okay? And first of all, you're so proud of yourself that you drafted him, Dylan, that you were so proud. And it's like, I got him undrafted too. You would often spout that in front of us. And he turns out to be like a top 8 back his rookie year, undrafted free agent. Okay. And so Dylan signed him and became a top 8 back, solid back. My God, really? Um, they did not need to do the upgrade, and it's questionable. Really, Travis Etienne, you bring him in now just because you want to pair him with Trevor Lawrence? Come on, man. There was better value than that. What? I don't get it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. James Robinson could have carried that squad as a second-year running back with Trevor Lawrence, Laviska Shenault, DJ Chark. Uh, who else is in there? Yeah, I mean, just an absolute killjoy of a pick of a night for that. I've seen Robinson down now as running back, I believe 33 or 43 now, up down from like 10. Yeah, it's not. And what's going to happen there? How are they going to handle that load share? You got a guy that just put up like, I don't know, 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns or some damn thing. And supposed to ride the pine now that ETN's in town. I don't know if he's going to go quietly. I think he might have something to say for himself. If a fire wasn't lit under his ass before, there's a bonfire in his ass right now. See that behind me? That's who's riding his ass. And he has got incentive because that's ETN right there, that Buffalo. The dude's cocky. He wants to start. He thinks he's the boy. James might not go so quietly. So we'll see what happens with that. But let's kind of move on a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and let you folks see the screen here. For those of you YouTubers. Okay. All right. All right. What do we got here? All right. So let's take a look, see what we're talking about. I mean, I think we can pretty much know that, the running backs are Najee Harris. He landed in Pittsburgh. Um, you've got Travis Etienne, of course, went to Jacksonville. Um, and here, this is the deal on Etienne, of course, is that um, he is one of the 2 running backs in this draft who won't be caught from behind once he gets past the first level. So the acceleration and top end is supposed to be pretty good, like off the charts. And he, he's can be used in the passing game as well. Um, but and then you've got, of course, Javonte Williams. He went to Denver. Um, so we'll see what he can do out there. There's Melvin Gordon out in Denver, of course. Then you've got, was it Michael Carter, I believe? Next page. All right. Second round. Trevor Lawrence. Actually, Trey Sermon went to the Niners. Good collegiate career. So he was picked by the Niners in the third round. And it looks to me like they've got a real mess there in San Fran. They've got Mostert, uh, Jeffrey Wilson, who's neither one of those are any slouches. Wayne Gallman can run, okay. And now you've got Trey Sermon. So there'd be 4 running backs there if they keep 4. So you'd have to beat out Wayne Gallman. So I don't know about that. Then what do you got here? Then I think it's Michael Carter. Yeah. Michael Carter went to the Jets. He's a decent running back. He's again decent college career, but he's down around that 5'6" running back area. So he can catch passes. So there's some value there. So it looks like there's some opportunities there. Then you got get on one more. Kenneth Gainwell was the 6th back taken. He went to the Eagles. Okay, so there's some sleepers in there. You look at a guy like Trey Lance. Where's he going to go? Where's Trey Lance going to go? I mean, he went to the Niners. So, I mean, he's about high risk, high reward, but I don't know. It's you got him and Justin Fields, so when you look at it, and then you have you had Justin Fields went to the Bears, of course, and so he's going to. There's a lot to love there in Justin Fields because he's got pinpoint accuracy, he's mobile, he's athletic, and so his legs are going to help earn him fantasy points as well. I mean, he might be the best quarterback the Bears have ever drafted or ever had. So, I mean, if that's true, that's definitely good for Allen Robinson owners. There's a lot of people say that Allen Robinson will surely be gone after this year. So possibly if they do, then so will Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. They kind of stake their fortunes on Justin Fields, so they own that one. Great talent. So I mean, he could be a top 10 fantasy quarterback, depending on how it's a throw of the dice there. But moving down into the third round here, we've got Mari Rogers, 11th wide receiver, went to the Green Bay Packers. So you got Devontae Adams with Amari Rogers there. And so A-Raj throwing to A-Raj. But A-Raj may not be there because if they don't fire the general manager, Brian Gutekunst, then he's not coming back. And everybody's been saying that, like, he, he has been out with his family and he's not communicating with them. And, he's ostracized a few friends. And so they're thinking that, well, so when Aaron Rodgers, doesn't like something or something upsets him, it looks like he has a tendency to hold a grudge. And so that's what they're saying. Okay, he has a history of holding grudges. And so the problem there is Mike Murphy, the president, doesn't have the authority to fire the GM Brian Gutekunst. Why? Because there's no owner in Green Bay. There's a board, there's the shareholders. So it would take a lot to get Gutekunst out of there. Who's going to fire him? Mike Murphy doesn't want to go in and say, yeah, Brian, I know we've been in thick here and we're like the backbone of the organization, but it's either you or A-Rod, so we have to fire you. I don't see Mike Murphy wanting to do that. He doesn't want to tell him. And so if nobody wants to tell him, then he's not going to get fired. And A-Rod will be playing somewhere else. He may even sit out this year. I mean, can you imagine it? I mean, what the heck? A-Rod sitting out the season because he's mad at the GM and willing to retire even, he said, if need be. He didn't say that, but that's the word on the street, the scuttlebutt, is that he would actually retire. And yearns, he said he yearns to be the full-time host on Jeopardy. He yearns for that. He would retire for that. So he would do that a year, right? Save his legs, save his arm, whatever. Come back next year after the slate of quarterbacks that get replaced, because there's going to be usually, all right, there's a few, okay? So if there's a few, then that would mean that he would have the opportunity at least be interviewed for one of the few to be their quarterback. So now, if he signs in the AFC, should he sign in the, say he signs with Carolina? I don't know. Anyway, it sounds like they're actually working with a team to get it done and finalize it here. But then he would go and be traded to a team. And then, of course, go against Brady in the AFC, which is now the NFC because it's Brady. So I don't know what's going to happen here. But, those Aaron Rodgers owners, they're going to be a little bit verklempt, to use a word, because if he's their starter, then the owner in our league, A-Rod, doesn't even start. I don't think he might now because he got traded, but so who's going to happen? What's going to happen with that? So Amari Rogers, who knows who'll be thrown to? If Jordan Love is thrown to him, then Amari Rogers is not even a name. Then you got De'Ami Brown. He drafted by the Washington football team. He's a speedy wideout. They now have Terry McLaurin there in Washington. So they would have a speedy core there. Tylan Wallace went to the Baltimore Ravens. Um, and they'd already drafted a who did they draft? The Ravens. That wasn't their. The Ravens. The Ravens drafted Tylan Wallace, but I thought they drafted another one as well. Dwayne Eskridge went to the Seahawks, so he'll be with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and also a tight end there, a good tight end, as well as a pass catching running back. So Eskridge, probably be a wide receiver 4, or probably a wide receiver 5, maybe. So Gainwell went to the Eagles. He's going to be fighting for reps with Boston Scott. Um, they've got Miles Davis there carrying the rock. He's maybe a little beefier version of Boston Scott. Zach Wilson went to the Jets. So he was the 4th quarterback taken. And so does he have a future there? Boy, I tell you what, it's the kid next door look and family, shiny, shiny high school quarterback look, um, with a wretchedly evil arm. I mean, he's got generational arm talent, and so he'll be there playing in the big city, and he'll be throwing to um, this guy up here. Where is he? Elijah Mitchell. Where's he ranked? But he'll be throwing to Elijah Mitchell, who went to the Jets as well. So you'll have a rookie quarterback there. Um, they now have Jamison Crowder in the slot there. Um, then you got Jalen Darden went to the Buccaneers. He's behind a ton of guys there. At least 3, probably 4 targets. So he's probably the number 6 target there. Elijah Mitchell went to the Niners. He's their uh, typical back that they like in a Shanahan offense. So um, I think he can do a little bit of everything. Chuba Howard went to the Carolina Panthers, and so he's behind Christian McCaffrey there. Then New England got their quarterback in Mack Jones at the 5th quarterback taken. Now, Mack Jones, this couldn't have worked out any better for the Patriots. To not have to move up and still get Mack Jones to fall to them. I think Mack Jones will probably, could probably start this year, but he'll sit. But I think he will end up to be a pretty good talent. I think he'll be a pretty good starter. Then moving along here, Romandre Stevenson, running back, went to the Patriots, so he'll be behind James White and Sony Michel and Brandon Bolden. So he'll be like the 4 back there. Hunter Long, the tight end, went to the Dolphins. Then you got Chris Evans, a running back, went to the Bengals. So he's kind of a back that can both run and catch. Shea Smith now went to the Panthers. I'm not sure really much about him, but I think he's another one in the tradition of let's see, he's 5'10", 186. So yeah, he's fits one of those smaller profiles again. So he's got big hands, smallish, speedy receiver. So he's a return specialist as well. Uh, Looks like he's got good consistency and like quickly firing into routes. Uh, so it looks like he's kind of a, uh, a pretty good talent as far as strong hands and uh, quick hands and works hard after the catch. So he looks like he's kind of a vertical guy, kind of a vertical guy on the Smith. So it looks like he was a 4-star prospect. So there's nothing wrong with his production. So let's see. You had Smith there. Yeah, and then Brevin Jordan, kind of an athletic tight end, went to the Houston Texans. Atwell uh, went off the board then as well. Uh, Went to the Los Angeles Rams. He is the deal on Atwell is he's like this. Look at him, quick little jitterbug type guy. Okay, think of a jitterbug. Um, the deal with Tutu Atwell is speed. Speed kills. So he'll probably go, uh, or I mean, he's like one of those prospects like the Oakland Raiders would draft. Uh, okay, he's 5'8" and 7/8 and 149 pounds. Look at him. He's 5'8", 149 pounds. John, he's about your size, maybe 5 pounds heavier. Okay. Tutu Atwell. It looks like he has a burst to him. It's what really this negatives, small to the point of being tiny and struggles in battles and has lapses in concentration. Yeah, because he's looking around him, probably because he doesn't want to get hit. You serious? 140 pounds? Explosive, uh, great speed. He's quick, toss sweeps, reverses, getting him involved in the game plan. Um, you know, I don't know. I just don't I just don't know with the guy like that. I mean, is he a Percy Harvin? Is he you really don't know. Um I don't know. He's just a little bit small. I don't know. Concerns. I don't know how high of a capital you'd probably want to spend on him, but anyway, if you want a game breaker, and you have a dart to throw, he wouldn't be a bad dart at that. Um, Seth Williams went to the Broncos. Don't really know much about him, but he went as the 18th receiver. So, you're getting through, probably 2.5 rounds. Here you're at the 40th pick, Highland Hill. Running back 11 went to the Packers. Well, he's got A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones in front of him. So, yeah, Um, Tamorian Terry went 19, wide receiver 19, went to the Seahawks. I have no idea who he is, but they picked another receiver earlier too. So then you got the Browns, got Demetric Feldman, running back 12, Jamar Jefferson, who's supposed to have some talent, went to the Lions, but there you've got, somewhat of a crowded backfield too there. Um, Emir Smith Marzette, wide receiver 22, went to the Vikings to compete for the number 3 role, and also return kicks, but likely Imuwande, the running back they drafted, is going to return kicks because he is really good at returning kicks. So, I mean, you can see that by the time you get down to, the 48th pick, Cornwell Powell, wide receiver 24. No, the 24th wide receiver in this draft, his name should not even be publicized on the internet. So you're not going to get a bona fide starters in, the 4th round. So that's a topic for another conversation. But I think there are pros and cons of this whole draft situation. There's probably roughly 30 impactful players in the draft this year. Okay. But that actually may be closer to 24. So, anyway, um, your second rounder pick is going to be very valuable this year. More valuable than your third, and especially more than your fourth. The fourth this year really doesn't have any real value to it that I see, but that's just me. Um, so we'll see if anybody picks up anybody in the 4th round this year that makes an NFL roster. Okay, that'll help us decide that we're just wasting our time drafting names out of a phone book, a directory, if you will. Seriously, it's not even. No, I don't like it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to move through the space and time continuum. And we're going to go ahead and go with this feel because right now we are getting into the area of upside and players who have the ability to really show something special. Couple slot guys, really. If you're looking for slot guys, Elijah Moore in the Jets there, and God, who is that other slot guy? Rondell Moore. He's another slot guy. Of course, you got Jamar Chase in the number 1 wideout going to Cincinnati. I think he's going to, as he said, something about he's going to put on a show, were his words. So, very confident young man. Um, Basically, a 21-year-old kid, right? And basically saying, I'm going to put on a show in the NFL. So that's pretty confident words. So I feel that he may have an opportunity to excel. But like I said, the price is going to be absurdly high. So, redneck deer camp. So, anyway, the opportunities are there, to pick up a good value throughout. Then we're going to go ahead and share this. This is the draft. So, as you can see, it's Ragnar Crazy Horse has 2 firsts, and Laces Out has 3. So they have 5 of the 12. Um, Meat has 1. Smash has 1. Bridesmaid has 1. Purple has 1. Fall Guy has 1. Boomer Nation has 1. And Ragnar. So they're the only franchises with more than 1 pick. And then we go into the second round here, and then we've got Crazy Horse. Or Ragnar's is at the 201. Crazy Horse is at the 202. Boomer is at the 203. Crazy Horse back on at 204 and 205. Fall Guy is at 206. Purple is at 207. Bridesmaids at 208. Half Chub at 209 and 210, followed by Skull and Meat Curtains. So that would take care of the second round. So not everybody has a second round pick. And then we're going to go ahead and round 3. Now let's see. Crazy Horse has, see, he has 2 or 3 more here. Let's see. Yeah, he has 2 picks in round 3. Smash has 2 picks. Just Win Baby comes in basically after his auction pick in the third round here, because I think he traded for some capital here. So uh, does he even have a first round pick here? No, he does not. He traded his slot out. Just Win traded his slot out, so he is out, and Chubb is also out of the first round. I believe Skoll is out of the first round too because he did some rebuilding. So that's who's basically on the draft orders here. We could go into really who needs what, who's on the clock, where. Uh, but the situation is with the slot, it goes, you never know how it's going to go. Okay. You never know how it's going to go because it's 12 guys and you just don't know. But it's going to start on May 13th. So, anyway, kind of taking it from there, I had promised maybe some deep dives. For example, the running back that went to the Jets, this Michael Carter. He's uh, not a big back, but he can run and he can catch both. So um, not sure what the situation is there in New York, but they're pretty set at running back. I don't think they need any running backs. Let's see. Yeah, they've got Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson, Josh Adams. So it looks like they're pretty stacked at running back. Yeah, plus they have LaMichael Pirine, Tevin Coleman. So let's see. All right, and then the other rookie that went here was Elijah Moore. Also went to the Jets with Michael Carter, and so there is a really big mess there with Corey Davis and Denzel Mims. Obviously, Corey Davis will command a large target share because he cost them a lot of capital to get from the Titans. And Denzel Mims also is they've got speed and they've got height, and so then you've got behind them you got Jameson. Now is Jameson gone? Because now you got Elijah Moore you drafted in the second round, and you have Keelan Cole, Braxton Berrios, Josh Doxson, how far he's fallen from the Redskins. Vincent Smith, Jeff Smith, Lawrence Cager, Josh Malone, Jaleel Scott. Yeah, so yeah, I mean he was basically some high draft capital. So um, they've got what's his face, Zach Wilson in there throwing to Corey Davis and Denzel Mims with Elijah Moore in there. I don't know if they'll make any noise or it'd just be rubbish, but there's a chance there at at least an opportunity um, in New York. Then let's go to a guy that somebody uh, really hasn't really heard a lot about, and that is Kylan Hill. Kylan Hill, right here. And then there's a running back that went to the Bears. Who was he? Chris Evans, Elijah Mitchell. I thought the Bears. I thought the Bears picked up a. I thought the Bears picked up a. Yeah, they did pick up a running back. Who was it? It was Halil or something. Doesn't he show up here? Well, he's certainly at least the running back 13, isn't he? For the Bears. Another guy that I really don't see listed here. Yeah, here he is down here, Josh Palmer, drafted by the none other than the he's a 6'1", 210 pounder. Um, I mean he scored some draft capital because he was picked. I mean he was drafted by the Rams, or no, the Chargers. 23rd receiver, really, is what we're talking about here. So, negligible if he would be draftable or not would be a stretch. But I mean, it's upside. All you're going for is upside. So, is he going to start this year and dominate? No. Is he going to next year? He may compete. Maybe he'll break out. But it's guys like that you're talking about. Later on in the draft as late thirds, mid to late thirds, or fourths, whatever. Um, but don't overlook Tutu Atwell either for the Rams. We kind of went over him. He's like 130 pounds. He's 5'6", 130 pounds, but he's speedy. So how in the world are they going to use him? I mean, if you have too many picks, I'd probably pick him. Uh, who else didn't we touch on here? Who else didn't we touch on here? Oh, Chris Evans. Now we're going all the way down here. Um, quite a ways down the list. Chris Evans was picked up, was drafted by the Bengals. So they offloaded Bernard, and so what is he, about 5'11", 211 pounds? So he's pretty good size, huge hands. Um, looks like dishes out punishment on defenders. Grinds it in on the inside and straight bursts through the hole and keeps his feet moving. So it looks like he at least is, you know, maybe a fourth round guy, something like that. You know, I mean, you've got Mixon there, and he's going to be a three down back. So that's kind of how it would kind of play out there. Uh, I mean, Mixon is only, I think, 24. So I mean, he's still young yet. So he gets has gonna has few years left. So like there are some dart throws in the fourth round. Um, there's a guy here in the Chiefs nobody's talking about. Cornwell Powell. Okay, drafted by the Chiefs. Some people are saying he deserves a little attention. Cornhole Cornhole Powell, wide receiver Clemson. Cornhole Powell, 6'1", about 6 feet, 205 pounds, big hands. Um, got drafted by the Chiefs. Okay, so decent size. Okay, receiver. Um, doesn't really have a second gear in him, so it's not like he can take off and then find that second gear. Um, let's see. Let's see what he did here. Did he ever break out? Let's see. All right. He's got a lot of physical traits. Okay. 6 feet, 210 pounds, solid frame, contested catches, um, withstand contact, hasn't displayed it consistently. So it's hard to say. I mean, he could be a project. Um, what are the concerns? Okay. All right. See, his late breakout is concerning, obviously, with Dynasty. Uh, while his physical traits are good, not elite, he couldn't string together much consistency in his first 4 years. Even in his best games, there was inconsistency from snap to snap. Okay, most noticeable in Paul's route running. There are instances where Paul used smooth movements and head fakes. However, just as often his routes were fairly bland and predictable. So he's not consistent as a route runner. He's not a good enough athlete to get by on talent alone. So if he can refine his game, uh, and he's 24 this fall, so there's not much fantasy life, with a guy like that. So he'll be in a competitor. you know, but I don't know. I just don't know if he would actually be a starter on a fantasy roster. Um, I mean, he'll play. He'll play. You know, I mean, he could be a bench player, and see, he's down there at pick 48. But um, I mean, that's really what you're talking about here. I think we've kind of covered most of them here. I don't know how many will go in our fantasy draft, how many quarterbacks will go or not, but I think probably at least probably one, maybe two. So, I mean, there's a lot of good talent there. I mean, you're talking about a lot of depth in the first two rounds. There's a lot of depth, not a lot of separation there as you get down through wide receiver seven there. So, and that's QB and RB4. So you're talking about, 13 players right there. So there's definitely, and we never talked about Kadarius Toney, the New York Giants. Took him, I think. Yeah, I took him in the was it the first round? Was he second? Anyway, he's 5'11". Let's just take a look at it here. I'm surprised they went with him with Rashad Bateman still on the table. 5'12", or no, he's 5'11", 193 pounds. Athletic player, short area quickness, you know, extends his hands, tracks the ball in the air, gets vertical, blah, 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 blah. Thin build, struggles in battles, needs space to work, easily brought down at the point by a single defender. So he basically has zero after the catch, although he's very athletic. Okay. Um, got some profile. I mean, they did pick him up, like I said, it looks like could be on his breakout. One of the most dynamic receivers in the draft. So he's electric with the ball in his hands, but it comes down to says when it comes to pure explosion, Tony might not have any competitors. Ability to accelerate immense amount of forward momentum with rare suddenness and pace. Additionally, his change of direction are effortless. Tony can pick up speed in no time. Elite weapon in space, perhaps, but like I said, he's 175 pounds, something like that. Um, I don't know. He says he's a first round prospect, but did I don't know. I'll have to see where he was picked. Um, it's just they like diverse Negan more than most. Character evaluations are big for the Florida wide receiver. Outside of that, should be able to maintain his draft stock. Okay, 4.38, 40-yard dash, 39-inch vertical. So it looks like he's got some athleticism to him. Um, yeah, I guess he's going to the Giants, so they took him over Bateman. So Bateman's another one. He went to the Baltimore Ravens. He's going to be a receiver that, um, is it a great landing spot? It's debatable. Um, had he landed, I don't know, in with the Chargers, would it be better? Probably, but um, nonetheless, I think it's got good PPR value. Bateman's too good not to produce, so he's not a bad choice there, even though it's, I mean, you're not going to. You've got Hollywood Brown there. Um, in addition, you've got Miles Boykin there. You've got Mark Andrews. So how many more targets are there going to be? If there's 8 a game, maybe he gets 5. 5 for 60. That's all right, but it's not starting material. You know, so it's hard to say. It's all kind of just a crapshoot. But then you got Nico Collins, who's kind of a bigger receiver that went to the Texans, and who's going to happen in Houston this year because it's not looking like Watson is a guarantee to play this year. So we'll have to see. Um, let's see. It looks like 6'4", 215 pounds. Da 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 da. So he would go along with Brandon Cooks. Um, if Deshaun Watson was the quarterback, yeah, his value would be higher. But I mean, what Davis Mills is going to be the quarterback, throwing to Collins and Brandon Cooks and the rest of that crew? Yeah, well, I don't think so. I don't think so. So I just really don't know what to tell you there. Then you've got Trey Lance. What kind of value is he going to carry? Is he going to go in the auction? I mean, or is he going to go more in that, you know, mid to late second round for teams that you really don't need a lot of quarterback help? I mean, speculative maybe, you know. So there's only 1 or 2 franchises really that aren't at least comfortably sitting at quarterback. Um, so then you talk about Amon Ray St. Brown. We haven't talked about him, but he went to the Lions in there with Goff, and so the Lions offloaded basically uh, 5 out of their top 6 pass catchers. Yes, you heard that right. So uh, he broke out in 2019 alongside Michael Pittman. Uh, so he's got a 4.5 40. So they lost Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola um, are off the roster. Um, the Lions pre-draft chart was Rashad Bateman and Tyrell Williams, who they picked up. They picked up both those dudes. Okay, they're not bad. Then you have Quintus Cephas. Try and remember the name Quintus Cephas. You won't have to try to remember it because it will be spoken on Sundays. Because Quintus Cephas is a great pick in round, I think it was 3 last year of the Smash Squad. Uh, I probably reached in round 3, but I wanted Quintus Cephas because he's going to start for the Lions this year. Definitely, Quintus Cephas. Um, and so Amon Ray St. Brown is going to come in, and so now you've got Perriman, Williams, Cephas, and Amon Ray St. Brown. So he's like 4 or 5 on the chart. Um, he can probably add some. I mean, even if he's number, 4 on the target range there, I mean, he'll pick up, you know, wide receiver 4 numbers maybe. Might have a tough go of it to start, but um, Trey Sermon, of course. Now, like we went over that already with Mostert and Wilson and all those guys. So, um, other than that, I think that kind of wraps it up for tonight. We've had a lot of exciting news going on with the watching of the draft. We're only days away now from the auction, and so I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done, a lot of homework, but there's going to be a lot of good players, and so I'm going to go ahead and pause this share here. Okay, stop share. All right, here I am again. Anyway, once again, the um, sponsor of tonight's show is Carvinens. Family tradition in home furnishings. Carvinens. Carvinens. All right, and that is the Smash Dell Fantasy Football Show. Following the post draft, too much information was given out here, but we're going to go ahead and sign off and say sayonara, and we'll see you on the flip side. And we'll do another podcast probably after the auction draft. Probably go through winners and losers there. All right, sign off.